They called me Grandpa, though I wasn't related to a soul in that building. I didn't mind the name, not at first. It was the laughter behind it that stung, the edge in their voices that turned it from affection to mockery. The hallway was quiet except for the screech of my mop over scuffed tile, the kind of quiet that doesn't belong to learning or peace. Just the gap between classes, when lockers rattle and gum gets stuck under desks. Then came the voice. "Hey, Grandpa." A banana peel sailed past my shoulder, arcing just enough to miss and land in the mop bucket with a sloppy splash. Tyler's aim had gotten better. He stood with his friends near the drinking fountain, their phones out, pretending not to record. "We do all this so you have something to do." Laughter followed, high-pitched, cruel, the kind that burns more after 70 than it did at 17. I gripped the mop tighter, didn't look at them, didn't speak, just kept cleaning. Tile by tile, the floor was sticky. Someone had spilled soda near the lockers again. It soaked into the corners, pulling dirt like a mag. I bent down slowly, bad knee, always the left, and right at a trash bin they'd knocked over earlier. Wrappers, wads of paper, crushed juice boxes, all of it scattered in the path I just cleared. When the bell rang, they dispersed like nothing happened. A few teachers passed me. No one said a word. Not to me, not to them. Just another day at Meadow Creek Middle School. Just another hour mopping what others left behind. I pushed the bucket back to the supply closet, every step echoing a little longer than it used to. Closed the door, sat down on the old stool, let the silence settle around me like an old friend. Outside, laughter still floated down the hall. But in that closet, just for a moment, I didn't have to hear it. Before I ever held a mop, I held pressure on open wounds. Before the laughter in hallways, there was screaming in sand. They don't ask about that when you apply to be a school custodian. No one says, "Tell me how you steadied a soldier's breathing while rounds snapped overhead." No one wants to know how fast you learned to stop bleeding with your hands, how you whispered to boys who didn't make it, held their last words like a priest with no church. They ask if you can lift 50 pounds, if you know how to mix bleach without hurting the floor, if you're willing to work holidays. I said yes, because I'd already worked every day that mattered. I joined the army at 21, later than most. I wasn't running from anything. I was running toward a promise I barely understood then. I trained as a medic, took to it fast. Something about the quiet panic in a man's eyes made me sharper, steadier. Somewhere between Bagram and Kandahar, I stopped thinking about my own safety. All I cared about was getting there, getting to the ones who were bleeding, burned, broken. Sometimes I carried them, sometimes I crawled beside them with just gauze and hope. There was a boy, name of Denny, who bled out in my lap. He wasn't the first, wasn't the last, but he looked at me with this trust, this unshaken belief that I could save him. He said, "Tell my sister I kept my promise." I didn't know what the promise was. I just nodded. He was gone before I could ask. They gave me a few medals. I kept them in a box. Still have them, under the bed. Never took them out. What for? To impress a school board? To show a generation that only sees worth in what you post? I wasn't bitter. I'd made peace with the silence. Some things we carry because we must. Some because no one else knows they need to be carried. When I got back, I tried factory work. Didn't last long. The noise, clanging metal, sudden shouts, sent my hands shaking. Then retail. Then a warehouse. Always behind something. Always moving. The quiet work. Invisible. When I saw the ad for custodian, I didn't flinch. Schools are steady. Predictable. You know what breaks. You know how to fix it. I liked that. The floors don't scream. The walls don't bleed. My first week, a student asked if I was too old to clean. I said, "I've seen worse messes." Didn't explain, didn't need to, but the truth was, those floors weren't just scuffed. They were stained with the same disrespect that crawls through a country when it forgets who kept it stitched together. They'd forgotten what service looked like when it wasn't on a post. I wasn't trying to teach them. I just wanted to keep moving, to matter in a way I could control. Each morning, I arrived before sunup, ran a dry mop through the gym, straightened the folding chairs, changed the flag when it rained too hard the night before. I never missed a day. Not for colds, not for storms, because showing up matters, even if no one notices, especially then. It started small. That's how these things always begin. A wrapper dropped, by accident. A spilled drink, oops, sorry. A chair nudged just out of reach. Tyler and his friends made it a game. They were clever about it. Never loud enough to draw attention from staff. Never cruel enough, at first, to spark outrage. Just persistent, intentional, whispered mockery dressed as teenage mischief. At lunch, they'd leave entire trays overturned in the corner. During class changes, they blocked the hallway with their bags. One even left a used tissue folded inside my locker key ring. I cleaned it all. Didn't flinch. Didn't ask for help. Teachers passed by. They had their own battles. Paperwork. Underfunded classrooms. Kids who didn't listen. Maybe they didn't see it. Maybe they chose not to. One or two smiled at me when we passed in the hallway, but no one said a word when they saw the ketchup smears on the stair rail or the gum pressed into the locks. It wasn't malice. It was indifference. And sometimes that feels worse. I kept showing up because the floors needed mopping. Because the kids, even the cruel ones, still deserved a clean school. Because if I left, no one would remember I'd ever been there at all. But Tyler pushed further. One Friday afternoon, they knocked over my cart near the science wing. Water spilled everywhere. They skated through it, pretending to slip and fall, recording their antics. When I came back from the cafeteria, they were gone. Just the mess remained. The science teacher, Mr. Holloway, stepped around the puddle and muttered, "Might want to get that." I nodded. He didn't see the water was from my bucket. Didn't ask why the mop was across the hallway. Just kept walking. The janitor's closet became my only refuge. Small, smelled of bleach and steel wool. There, I could breathe without anyone looking. There, I remembered places louder, dirtier, more dangerous, and still, somehow, more respectful. In Afghanistan, they didn't mock the medics. You brought a man back from the brink, and even the hardest Marines nodded your way. Here, you're just a custodian, just the cleanup crew for a world that's already moved on. But even in that slow, grinding routine of disrespect, I found moments. A boy once thanked me for finding his backpack. A girl left a sticky note that said, "Thank you for cleaning our mess." I kept it, taped it to the inside of my locker, right beside a photo of my unit from 2011. Half of them gone now, the other half scattered like seeds. I tried not to take it personally, told myself they were just kids, told myself they didn't know. But the ketchup packets, that was different, that was intent. And it came the day before Veterans Day, a day I never marked publicly, never asked for a handshake, just cleaned the flag before first bell, and then went on with the work. But they had planned something. I don't know who dared who. Don't care. What I remember is walking into the gym and seeing the floor trashed, snacks ground into the wood, chairs toppled, wrappers in every corner. And in the middle of it all, my mop, snapped in half, my bucket overturned, and ketchup, bright red, spread in a way they thought looked like blood, smeared across the stage. I stood there, breathing slow. My knee ached. My hands hurt. I was tired. Not just body tired, but the kind of tired that crawls deep when you know they don't see you as real, as someone who gave, only someone to laugh at. I didn't speak, didn't shout. I reached into my coat, found the small button my daughter had given me last year, said it was connected to something quiet, something important. I pressed it, just once. Then I sat on the edge of the gym bleachers, and waited. I didn't have to wait long. The gym stayed empty for a while, echoes bouncing off the walls. Somewhere beyond the double doors, students moved between classes, lockers slammed, sneakers squeaked. Normalcy continued, just one room away. I sat there, ketchup cooling across the wood grain, mop handle splintered at my feet. I'd sat in worse places. In a ditch once, outside a village whose name I never learned. Dirt in my throat, blood on my hands, praying the bird would come in time. This moment wasn't war, but disrespect can feel like shrapnel if it's sharp enough. Then I heard it. Rubber on pavement. Not the high screech of adolescence. Not the muffled hum of a delivery van. For black SUVs. Windows tinted. Tires heavy. They rolled into the school's back lot, moving as if summoned by something beyond urgency. Something rooted in history. A different kind of ceremony. The front office buzzed with confusion. Doors clicked in sequence. The security system froze, deliberate. Then the main doors locked with a dull mechanical hush. Classrooms still. Phones lit up. Whispers moved faster than lesson plans. Something's happening. Was there a threat? No. It's soldiers in suits. From the gym doors came footsteps, measured, precise. Not rushed, not loud, just certain. 5 individuals entered first. Civilian clothes. Crisp. Serious. Military posture. Their presence filled the room like gravity. Behind them, in uniform, stood Major Caroline Estes. Retired Army. Tall. Composed. Eyes that missed nothing. She looked from the stage to me. Saw the mob. The mess. The bruises that weren't visible. but hung in the air. She walked to center court, turned to the now filling bleachers. Tyler and his friends had been escorted in by a school security officer, not cuffed, just present, confused. And there were others now, students drawn from halls, teachers too. The gym felt like a courtroom. Major Estes raised a hand. No microphone. Didn't need one. No one leaves, she said. We are here to correct a failure in respect. She let that sentence sit. Not dramatic, just final. I'm Major Caroline Estes, United States Army, retired, combat tested, decorated. She gestured toward me. This man, she continued, was a combat medic in Afghanistan. He carried bleeding soldiers across mine-laced ground. He tied tourniquets with trembling fingers while rounds tore the sky. Murmurs rippled. A teacher in the back stood straighter. One boy lowered his phone. He held the dying in their last moments. And when he returned, he didn't seek medals or a parade. He took a job in your school. Cleaning, mending, serving, silently. She looked at Tyler then. Dead on. You poured ketchup like blood. You thought that was funny. You broke a tool, just like the ones he used to save limbs and lives. He didn't reply, didn't have words. Estes stepped toward me, kneeled, placed a folded flag at my feet, then stood, faced the room. To mock a veteran isn't just immature. It's a betrayal of the safety they bought with their suffering. A quiet voice near the wall whispered, I didn't know. Estes heard. You didn't ask, she said. That silence, the heavy one, the kind that wraps an entire room in clarity, settled in. And I sat in the center of it, not needing to defend myself, because I wasn't the one on trial. Major Estes stood still for a long beat, letting the silence do the work. Then she turned back toward me, not as if to offer charity, but to recognize continuity. The kind of salute you make without moving your hand. Jack Reed, she said, never stopped serving. He didn't stop when the war ended. He didn't stop when the uniform changed. He served every single day he walked these halls. She turned toward the bleachers. Some of you think service ends when the medals are given out, that the battle is only what happens with bullets. But disrespect is a kind of damage too, and this man has endured more of it than anyone should. That's when the others stepped forward. From the sides of the gym came two more veterans. One a teacher I'd never known, was former Air Force. The other, the school groundskeeper, limping from an old injury I suddenly recognized as a combat wound. Each took a step beside me, didn't say a word, just stood. One laid a hand on my shoulder. Another placed a folded printout on the chair next to me, a list of students and staff who had quietly written testimonies. Things I'd done they'd remember. Fixing a wheelchair's broken armrest. Helping a 6th grader find her lost bracelet. Staying late to repair a window shattered by a storm. The lights in the gym dim. A projector flicked on. Not a grand video. No sound. Just a slideshow of photos from my service years. Images I hadn't shared. I didn't know how they got them. But there I was, helmeted, kneeling beside a wounded soldier, grinning with my unit in front of a rusted Humvee, holding up 4 bags in the middle of a makeshift clinic. And last, me in uniform, looking into the camera, not smiling, not posing, just being there, present, unflinching. When the lights rose again, the room was quiet. Some teachers were standing now, a few students, too. Tyler looked smaller, not because anyone had shamed him, but because the truth had a way of resizing a person. Major Estes walked toward him, slow and deliberate. You're going to clean this gym, Tyler, she said. Not as punishment, but because labor teaches humility. He nodded once. Then again, she faced the room. You will help him, she told his friends. And after that, you will write a report on what Veterans Day means. Not from a website, but from the mouth of the man whose dignity you tried to steal. She looked back at me. This isn't about vengeance. It's about restoration. Then she knelt again, just briefly, and whispered, they know now. I nodded, didn't trust my voice to answer. Outside the gym, the SUVs waited, but Major Estes didn't rush. She handed the principal a sealed envelope. Inside was a formal commendation for me, signed by the Veterans Affairs Regional Director, and a petition signed by over 1,000 people, students, parents, and veterans, asking that the school dedicate a space to honor service and sacrifice. The following Monday, the mop closet had a new nameplate: Custodian Jack Reed, Veteran, Medic, Mentor. I hadn't asked for it, didn't want it, really, but when I saw it, bolted into the steel door in quiet brass, I felt something inside settle. Not pride, not revenge, recognition. The kind that doesn't ask for attention, only acknowledgement. That week, The school felt different. Same floors, same bells, but the air held more than noise now. Teachers nodded when we passed. Not all, but enough. Students stopped littering, mostly. Even the pranksters cleaned the cafeteria floors in silence. I didn't supervise. Didn't need to. Their shoulders carried the weight just fine. On Thursday, a girl left a folded paper on my cart. A drawing, a soldier kneeling, a mop in one hand, a bandage in the other. The caption said, "Thank you for showing us the real kind of strong." I kept it, still do. The mural went up beside the auditorium the day after Veterans Day. It wasn't flashy, just clean brushstrokes on stone, colors grounded in realism. Me, standing in uniform, not in a battlefield pose, but with a mop and bucket. Behind me, an American flag. Not waving, not backlit, just there, present, like I'd always tried to be. Beneath it, they etched the words, "He served with honor. He worked with dignity. We remember." I visited it once after school let out. Just stood there, watching the shadow shift across my painted face. A boy passed by with his backpack slung low. He slowed, read the inscription, then looked up at the mural. He didn't see me behind him. He raised his hand and saluted. Clumsy, off-angle, but sincere. The school launched a new program that winter. Respect through work. Students who got detention now spent hours helping in maintenance, learning what it meant to care for a space rather than take it for granted. I never made speeches, never scolded, just showed them how to wring out a mop properly, how to repair a jammed door, how to leave a place better than they found it. That was enough. One morning, Ms. Lane, the drama teacher, approached me in the hall. She said, "We're dedicating this year's play to veterans. Would you attend?" I nodded, didn't trust myself to speak. She added, "We named one of the characters after you. A medic who keeps showing up even when no one sees him." I looked at her. She smiled. "It's based on you," she said, "because it's about quiet courage." At the performance, I sat in the back, watched a 7th grader in an oversized army jacket kneel beside an injured actor and whisper a line that stuck with me. "I'm not here for the medals. I'm here because someone has to hold the hurt." I closed my eyes, felt the theater fall silent for a beat. Not for me, for the moment, for the meaning. After the show, a father approached me, introduced himself as Tyler's dad, said, "He told me everything about what he did, about who you are." I waited. He swallowed hard. "He's different now. Doesn't talk so fast. Started volunteering at the VA center last week." He hesitated, then offered his hand. I shook it, quietly, firmly. They offered me a plaque. I declined, but I asked for something else. A new flagpole for the front lawn, to replace the rusted one that leaned too far east. The school approved it. Students raised the funds. They installed it that spring, and every morning since, they've taken turns raising the flag, slow, deliberate, quiet. And every now and then, a student glances toward the mural on their way in. Some stop, some don't, but all of them walk by it every day, and that's enough. They used to say I needed something to do, as if I'd been waiting around for messes to appear. They never asked what I'd already cleaned up in this life. The blood, the fear, the chaos you can't mop from memory. They joked that the school gave me purpose, but the truth is, I brought mine with me. Every morning I walked those halls, I wasn't just scrubbing scuffs. I was holding a line, not of war, of decency, of steadiness, of choosing quiet over applause. I never asked those boys to understand combat, only courtesy. Never wanted medals, just for them to look past the mob. To see a man who once ran into gunfire with nothing but gauze and a prayer. To see that even after the uniform was folded, service never left. It just changed shape. My name is Jack Reed, and I'm a janitor, a veteran, a man who shows up, not for praise, not for credit, but because some jobs, like care, like respect, never end. They just change rooms. And sometimes, all it takes is a mop and a memory to remind people how to treat the ground they walk on.